And the spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Kyle here, and it is Saturday, and you know what that means. It's time for all the toy news, action figure news of the week that interested me, that hopefully interests you. It is the toy news, and a lot of stuff this week, especially with Ringside Fest going on, and I'll say it right here at the top. Not going to cover Ringside Fest. I did about a half-hour video yesterday, or 2 days ago, I guess it was. Check out that video for all the Ringside Fest recap. A lot of stuff going on. Watching the Ringside video, it started off very slow, but man, business picked up, and there was a lot of announcements. Check out that companion piece video. A lot going on over there, but we do got a lot of wrestling news here today, and some late-breaking wrestling news as well. So stay tuned to that here in a second here. But let's dive into a little bit of housekeeping first. Of course, got to say, Toy News of the Week brought to you by Jay'sToysAndGames.com. Use discount code Kyle. Save yourself 15% on all in-stock items. And they do, of course, for their local store. They have 3 locations. Jay's CD and Hobby is what the stores are called. They have 25% off Black Friday. So I'm headed there Black Friday, getting my list together. Going to check it twice. So some deals to be had there on Black Friday. So we'll see what's going on. But thank you, Jay's Toys and Games, for sponsoring the channel there. Of course, Patreon, another month of Patreon. I should probably have that ready to go, you would think. Not professional over here. Brody Lee is the November Patreon giveaway. So head over to Patreon. 'Tis the season to join up the Patreon. You can also join cheaper if you buy a year at once. You can join cheaper. You can even join as a free member over there on the Patreon if you want to. But a lot of content over there every single day, and we're in best of season. We're counting down all the best figures of 2024, top 5, top 10 list. You're going to get a lot of those on the Patreon a lot early, and also maybe a toy collection tour maybe of this whole place. We'll see what happens there. So stay tuned. A lot going on the Patreon. Brody Lee is the giveaway going on right now. Pro Wrestling Tees, they have sales all the time. We're right in the heart of their Thanksgiving sale. So head over there, pick up a t-shirt, support the channel, search Kyle Peterson, pick up a shirt over there at Pro Wrestling Tees. Also want to point out, I do have a TikTok channel, so growing that TikTok channel. Oh my gosh, what are we doing here? Working on some sick dance moves, trying to get my buddy the Rizzler to do a video with me. We'll see how that goes, but check it out on TikTok. Follow me over there, subscribe over there, all that kind of fun stuff. And interesting toy news this week, in the back half of toy news, I'm going to put that business hat on, and there was kind of some revelations, we'll call it revelations this week, and I want to talk about those a little bit there, as the whole action figure game could be turned totally upside down in the next year or so. We'll bring more of that later on in this very video. But let's dive into some of the wrestling news we got. Of course, like I said, Ringside Vest video. Check that video out if you did miss that for whatever reason. Target Legends. Looks like, I think it was December 12th. These are going up for pre-order. We got Sid, Bret Hart, Justin Hawk Bradshaw, can't wait for that one there. Rick Rude, he's going to be the regular, and Chase, and then the Ultimate Edition Dusty Rhodes. So those are going to be going up for pre-order here about the 1st of December. Be on the lookout for those. Should be fairly easy to find. I don't think anybody really struggles with those Target ones, especially if you're patient. But I really do enjoy the Legends line, as you guys know. I'm very excited about this Dusty Ultimate as well. So a good set there coming around the corner. But we're not done with some late breaking as I'm filming this news. Via our friends at Ringside Collectibles, use discount code Kyle, save yourself 10%. It looks like they're going to have an AEW exclusive, Better Than You, baby. Of course, Adam Cole and MJF 2-pack. So, obviously, that broke up about a year ago, something like that. But here we are all these years later, a year later. We're getting that 2-pack here as a Ringside Collectible exclusive. So, pre-order over at Ringside. Ringside also putting up Unrivaled Series 17, and this is a heavy hitter set as well. Swerve Strickland going to be in there. Obviously, the top of the AEW house right now. Whose house? Yes, exactly right. The one I am most excited for, and possibly, if I did do a video, and maybe we'll do this next year, the best AEW figures of all time, this one would probably be at the top of my list. It is the former Luchasaurus, always Luchasaurus in my heart. It is Killswitch. So I'm very excited to get this one once again. Absolutely love those Luchasaurus figures we got. Got to think Killswitch going to be the same. And as he told good friend of the channel, Jeff George, and I, he's not a wrestler. He's a Big Brother star. That's what...
Luchasaurus! My boy!
Not a wrestler, I'm a Big Brother star.
That's what he told us. Of course, we were front row for AEW once upon a time. But I love me some Kill Switch, Luchasaurus, whatever you want to call it. Very excited for this figure here. Got to think it's going to be a bit of a repaint, but very welcomed. Of course, another member of the Patriarchy, we got Christian coming back to the line. This one should go pretty well. He's another tip-top performer over there in AEW, as is his former friend, one Adam Copeland, coming back to the line already. You got to strike while the iron's hot, even if the iron is out injured right now. But we got Adam Copeland coming. And then a blast from the past, a guy we haven't seen or heard from in a long time. Could be last time in the line. It is Ricky Starks coming to the AEW Unrivaled Series 17. And then a first-time female figure in one Willow Nightingale. And she had a heck of a last year run or so. I haven't seen her for a while. I think she's out injured as well. But pretty heavy hitter lineup there for Unrivaled Series 17. Once again, ringside pre-order up right now. Use discount code Kyle. Save yourself 10%. Up there right now. So some new wrestling news here today to add to, but we're not done. We got to talk a little Black Friday action, and of course Zombie Sailor Toys getting after the Black Friday. He put an old school KB flyer out. Of course, a lot of stuff coming back in stock, some sales, things like that, where we imagine there from Zombie Sailor. However, some new stuff there. We did see the Slick, one of 1,250, the third Slick coming out there. I did just recently pick that up from a J&J Figures, as they did have that in stock, so I picked it up. Honestly, I should have probably waited because it is a cheaper figure this way. So you live, you learn, you lose, and you got to figure out what am I going to do to make up that money, because I don't know about you, stuff like that eats me alive. So I'm going to go walk the highways and see if I can get some pop cans and take them back, because I can get 5 cents per can in my area. So I might have to do that to make up the difference, just to make myself be able to sleep at night. I might have to do that. We'll see what happens. We're also getting a Matt Cardona that I first overlooked on the flyer. Had to go back and see it later. In extra bloody, the ultra violence, like a young Death Angel out there. Shout out to Bay Area legends, Death Angel. We're getting Cardona extra bloody, one of 1,000, so that should be a hot one as well. And then a very cool one here, Power and Glory back already, this time in a 2-pack in the black shirts instead of white. Would have liked to seen the glasses with them, though. I don't think we were getting the glasses, but that would have been a nice Easter egg there. One of 1,500 on that one. So Zombie Sailor going to bring a few different retros for Black Friday, and supposedly shipping shortly after that. So we're here for that, of course. So be on the lookout for that Black Friday special coming at you real quick. And then we also saw other retro figures this week. Title Run Toys promoting a Juventud Guerrera figure. So we're getting a little, I guess, artwork shot, planograms, kind of with dioramas. I don't know what you would call it. I don't know. But yeah, sketch edition. How about that? We'll go with sketch edition. But we got Hoovy. Hoovy juice. The juice is loose once again. Been a long time since we've had a Hoovy figure. I believe it was the boss fight the last time we got one of those. But we're getting one in Title Run Toys. Have to play a little bit of that waiting game on that one. We also know KWK, they're finishing up this month. TJP and Taka Michinoku. A lot of figures going out the door right now. Los Conquistadors sending to people right now. But Taka and TJP, pre-order ending the end of this month. Of course, you're ordering for KWK. Use discount code Kyle. Save yourself 10%. Got to get a deal out there, as we do know. KWK brand got a lot of exciting news into the new year. So we're going to keep paying attention to them every single week as they keep doling out these retros, but a lot more stuff in the pipeline, a lot of stuff coming, so be on the lookout for that in early 2025 and beyond. How about that? Top Rope Collectibles, once again, we're still waiting for our PN news, hopefully first of the year. We'll see what happens there. But they did show off some more art this week, so we're back to the arts and crafts a little bit, but we did see Johnny B. Bad, definitely a guy we need figures from, so I'm liking the idea of this one. We also saw Marcus Alexander Bagwell, a.k.a. the old handsome stranger. Of course, if you know, you know. As a little kid, I definitely knew. Very handsome, very stranger is what he was, though. But Mark Bagwell coming as well to Top Rope Collectibles. We'll wait and see. We know they got Paul Orendorff as well. Just got to get some of these figures out and see how they are in hand and see where that dictates the future there. I've said it before, I just can't collect all these retro figures anymore. There's just too many companies making them all. I'm kind of honing in on certain collections, and the other ones I'm just going to unfortunately have to dabble in. I'm a guy that wants it all, but there's only so much funds for everybody. We know how that does go. So more on that in the future. And then another one I did not pre-order, and I guess I'm thankful at this point I didn't pre-order. I'm not against picking these up when they do go in stock though, but we'll see. But I know a lot of people very angry about this one. You know, we talked about the conspiracies with Power Town. No, I'm not running Todd McFarland on the couch, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not putting the Jessie Ventura up there. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it, Todd. We've burned Jessie to the ground at this point. No, we haven't. We all love it. Okay, roll the Jessie.
You ever wonder if they're watching your every move? Cell phones, internet, surveillance. Think about it.
Are you happy, Todd? I know you'd be happy, but put your pants on. Make me happy for once. Asylum Series 2. Now, been waiting for this for over a year at this point here, and they kind of showed us some stuff saying, hey, I guess I got the official thing. I could read it. Let's be official. I'll read it right off here and see what it says. All Series 2 molds are complete. Painted production samples have been made. Some paint details still have to be completed. Waiting on the soft goods production. Apologies for the delay. We're working our hardest to get these finally completed. So it's been over a year at this point here. To me, it's like, what has been happening during that time? I think they might have had some personnel and some people working for the company leave, and that happens in all companies, unfortunately. Dealing with that at work right now. When good friends are gone, it's a sad day at the office. But it's just a little unexcusable that nothing has happened in a full year, and they're still working on paint. So there's no way we're seeing these figures in 2024. I would hope at best by Q1 2025, but I wouldn't hold my breath for that as well. And if you got money tied up in here, that's very disappointing because they've had your money at that point almost knocking on the door of 2 years. So that's pretty rough, all things considered. Now, they did show off some pictures, not the best pictures as well. You got some of the arms on the wrong way. Just not your first forefront you want to show people. But that being said, of course, you can switch those arms around when you get them in hand. Pretty cool Sergeant Slaughter. I like the Black Tiger a whole lot. You know, the Karate Man. So your mileage may vary how you feel about these figures, but as we say all the time, I need to get a t-shirt of it. Of course, you lose the customers a loaf at a time, you get them back a slice at a time, and a lot of people and a lot of companies can't afford to get that slice back. Unfortunately, I wonder if this will be the last series of these Asylum All-Stars. Will they be able to do Series 3? Will people go through it? Same thing Power Town's going through. Will people jump on that train next time? I don't know what's going to happen, but I can tell you a lot of people aren't going to sit on those long pre-orders. They're going to say, like I said with these Asylums, that I'm going to play the waiting game. When they come in stock somewhere, I'll pick it up. I'm not going to dangle my money out there for long waits. So going to be interested to see where that goes. Going to be interested to see where Power Town goes in 2025. If you guys remember, about a year ago, we sat here in Toy News and I said, not all these toy companies are going to last. And I think we said it way earlier in 2023. And as we saw, 2 or 3 of the companies closed down by the end of 2023. And I have to wonder if we'll see a couple of more toy companies poof into the air into 2025. We'll see what happens, though. We'll see what ends up happening there. But very interesting, of course, putting the business hat on. But we got a big business hat discussion later on in this video, so stay tuned for that. But that's Asylum All-Stars right there. And like I said, they're probably at the end of the line.
We're going to the end of the line.
Whoa, 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 stop the clock. Got some very important update to toy news here. After late breaking news right after I got done, and some stuff I didn't want to wait till next week to cover. So I said, let's get it out right here. And we got some crazy NECA news, and we got some more wrestling news. I guess we'll knock the wrestling news out first. November 29th, Coliseum collection going up for pre-order on Amazon, and I assume Mattel Creations. Big Boss Man, Bam Bam Bigelow, 2 amazing looking figures. Can't wait to add these to the collection. Hopefully everything goes smooth. We've talked in previous toy newses where having black chases and then Amazon a part of this one equals a recipe for disaster. So many people are going to buy these. Oh, I got the blue, taking it back. Going to buy them again, going to take it back. I could just see that thing right in itself. So that'll be very interesting to watch too. I'm glad I'm not in the black and blue chase game anymore. I can say that much there. But that is coming November 29th to Amazon. And then I mentioned them maybe before, maybe after this, depending where the whoa, 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 stop the clock came in. But Power Town, finally an update. I can't believe it. I about fell out of my chair right here. But the Remco versions, we saw images of them on card, we saw images of them loose, and we saw images of the title belt. So kudos to Power Town finally updating all of us out there with some of this stuff. And man, just little simple things like that move your business along so much. I say it all the time. I probably said it in this video. You lose a customer a loaf at a time. You get them back a slice at a time. Is this Power Town's way of trying to get them back a slice at a time? Maybe. We'll see how that ends up netting out over there. And of course, I got a special guest over there on the couch, and I see getting massaged by Todd McFarland. Todd McFarland giving a foot rub over here. It's my wife, Angie. Angie, say hello.
Hello. Little to the left, Todd. Little to the left.
Oh my gosh. She's down there. She's getting a foot massage from Todd McFarland. It's amazing times here, and you're getting to watch an audience. And I wish I could get an audience over here for more videos. And if you want to be in the audience, us a special audience, there's Angie's here, Ace is here, Domino, and Lemmy. It's quite the scene right here. But that's the way it goes from time to time. But we're going to finish off the Whoa Stop the Clock part of Toy News with some upsetting stuff right here. And I saw this earlier in the week and kind of shrugged it off. And then Friday afternoon, things went crazy. And we're talking NECA toys. We're talking the Donatello, the laboratory, of course, the sewer layer. We unboxed it on the channel a couple of weeks ago. And I guess I should count myself lucky that mine came in the mail without issue, because apparently a lot of people didn't get theirs. And then on the other hand, a lot of people got 2 of them sent to them. Well, NECA's been playing a lot of hardball this week, saying, hey, send that back, and if you send that back, we'll give you a $100 store credit, which is pretty a nice offer right there, a pretty nice thing to do. I do give them kudos for that, saying, hey, we messed up, we sent you 2. Obviously, you shouldn't have got 2. I think most people can understand that. Mistakes do happen, I get it. Should they happen? No. But they do happen, and it said, hey, you send that back, you get a $100 store credit. So that's a pretty nice thing. However, on Friday, they sent a note out to people that had not sent theirs back or not sent shipping to anything, and I should say NECA is going to pay for the shipping too. But it said, by now you should have received a shipping label to return the misshipped item. If we do not receive the piece back in the next few weeks, you're going to be charged for it and will be exempted from all of our future offerings. Please realize that by not returning the piece that was misshipped, you are taking it away from another collector. Signed, Sincerely NECA. What? Oh, no, sincerely, just signed NECA. So dangerous right there. Todd, any comments? Oh my gosh, Todd's burying his face in Angie's feet. That's wild over there. You guys get a room or something. I don't know what's going on over there. But absolutely wild, that email there. And it does feel a little bit confrontational. I think that's a fair assessment. And good brother of the channel here, John Delana, he put a message in the Major Wrestling Figure podcast group. So shout out to him for some of this. He put a little FTC fax up there. And I don't know how he had that on his Rolodex. Who knows what he had. But he had this going on right here. And it basically says FTC Fax, and thank you for getting this for me, John. Am I obligated to return or pay for merchandise I never ordered? No. If you receive merchandise that you didn't order, you have a legal right to keep it as a gift. Must I notify the seller if I keep it without paying for it? You have no legal observation. This is from the FTC. So what NECA is doing is basically illegal and waiting for lawyers to lawyer up. And Todd, Angie, we know it. We got a lawyer on retainer, and he's ready for the case.
Hi, I'm attorney at law Zach Wild, and I'm here to fight for you.
And that's exactly right. It is Zach Wild, attorney at law these days, playing guitar, doing attorney things. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Angie told this, and Todd fact-checked it, that he has brought in good friend of the channel, Jeff George, as a lower attorney, working his way up the ranks and hopefully to eventually be partner. So fingers crossed for Jeff George in the future in his law. But a very interesting thing. Like I said, I never would have thought that was technically illegal for what NECA is doing, and I'm sure, and I assume, but you know what happens when you assume, Todd McFarland? Yeah, Todd knows for sure. I don't know if they know they could get in trouble, but very wild thing over there, and it is very unfortunate. Matt Cardona, even over the Major Wrestling Figure podcast, said he had not got his. So somebody out there, maybe they're in Little Rock, Arkansas, are sitting on 2 Donatello labs, and poor Matt Cardona down there in Florida, just reminiscing in the mirror, saying, what if I had that lab this weekend? What could I do? That's probably what's happening, and we don't like it. We don't want to see that for Matt Cardona. Somebody get him his lab, but it is unfortunate all around. Obviously, you bought it, you should have got it. If you got 2, you really shouldn't have got 2, but by the law, it is what it is. And I guess if you send it back, though, you can be in the good graces of NECA and get $100. I think, personally, I'd probably send it back. I'm just kind of that kind of person, but Most people probably aren't because they're like, let me see, I could sell this for $350 and then I can get a different email and do Spider-Man NECA purchases. Yeah, I think I'll do that. And that's what I guess most people are saying there. But that's where the Zach Wild lawyers got to figure everything out. But man, shocking twist of events in the NECA lab this week. It'll be interesting where that goes from there. And that's it. That's the break-in. That's the whoa. Stop the clock. Moving on outside of wrestling a little bit, we did see on Friday NECA soliciting in partnership with IDW, of course, who makes comic books of the Ninja Turtles, a dark Leonardo TMNT figure. Of course, this was shown at New York Comic Con. Now we're getting this one starting to be solicited. Should be on the shelves early 2025. So an interesting take on the Turtles. I got some Turtle best of lists to do on this channel as well in the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned for that. But that was announced on Friday as well. We also saw earlier this week from our friends over there at Super7, discount code KyleP saves you 0%, but does tell Super7 that, hey, Kyle's a good guy, so you can't put that in checkout. But we did see Scratch, of course, from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Ultimate line, getting a new lease on life, another stint out of prison, I guess we'll call it here, but in a glow-in-the-dark edition. And I'm a sucker for the glow-in-the-dark. That is, of course, up for pre-order right now over at Super7, so grab that if you want. But the biggest Super7 news this week, to me, seemingly was the more Masters of the Universe old-school style Thundercats figures. I had to have a little Iron Maiden deja vu with that one, as we did get those from Funko way back when, but these look to be improved on those. Unfortunately, probably not going to end up being for me. We'll see what happens, maybe if I see them in person somewhere. But there's just not enough meat on the bone for these because we know Mattel is coming out with the Thundercats Masters of the Universe crossover figures in 2025. I think that'll be my Lion-O, that'll be my representation. But I know others are going to be into this one, especially the hardcore Thundercats fans, so I don't fault anybody for picking these ones up. Looking very interesting. We've seen these from Misfits, we've seen Conan. Looks like they're getting into this style figure a little bit more aggressively right now. So if you're after that, head to the usual places as well. We also saw from Mondo this week, they put the Symbiote Spider-Man up, and that thing sold out within a half hour. Man, I want to collect the animated Spider-Man line, just not going to be in the cards. Once again, you can collect so much stuff, especially Mondo is so expensive. I can't get all that stuff. I got the regular Spider-Man. I'm going to put that with my X-Men animated series figures just to have him there, and that's going to be it for me for Mondo Spider-Man. I just can't dive into that line. Talked last week about Anti-Eternia Battle Cat. I did pick that one up. That one sold out right away as well. So Mondo's doing something right. They're getting immediate sellouts on these things. But man, costs add up, as we do know in the toy game here. And these are very expensive figures. So unfortunately, going to have to pass on the Symbiote Spidey. They also announced a new Wolverine. Not enough meat on the bone for me once again. I'm going to have to pass on that one. I got the last one. That's going to be good enough for me. But if you didn't have that Wolverine, this is a perfect one to pick up for sure. I'd like to pick it up, just can't do it. Same thing, Batman Animated Series Clayface. Can't grab that one as well. But man, it looks amazing. I love that one where Batman's kind of climbing out of his chest, his stomach. How cool is that? A big figure once again. Would look amazing on the shelf, but a shelf killer if there ever was one, and I can't go down another line. But you Mondo fans, you're eating good, as they say in the neighborhood, like a young Applebee's is what that's like right there. But now I wanted to get to something a little bit interesting, a little business hat talk, because it's been a fairly slow news week here. But I wanted to put a couple of things out there. I did see a video last week, and I don't look at a lot of YouTube. I just don't. I just don't have the time. But I had one come across me this week from good friend of the channel, Bobby Valla. Shout out to Bobby Valla and the Valaverse. I've always gotten along very well with Bobby Valla and my interactions with him. So got to give him a plug. Check out the Valaverse website. But he had a video about toy license agreements coming to an end. And I remember it was about a year ago in the toy news, we talked about that there was going to be some changes. It'd be very interesting what happens with some of our favorite toy lines and properties in the next years or so, because things flip-flop and they fly occasionally, as we do know as well. But Bobby Valla did a video, and of course he's a former Hasbro employee, as we do know. I know he's controversial. I hear about it all the time, but it's a great conversation starter is this video. Once again, check it out if that is your thing. But it mentioned about the DC license coming up, of course, held down by a good friend of the channel, Todd McFarland on the couch. Todd, feel free to give your input on any of this stuff if you want. I'm sure your lips are sealed on things like this. But he does have the DC license, McFarlane, but apparently that is coming up. And same thing with the Disney properties. So we're looking at your Marvel Legends and, of course, your Star Wars stuff coming up for Hasbro. Now, what could the future hold? Now, honestly, all these ones could just re-sign. It'll be just business as usual, like we saw that with Mattel in the last couple of years. However, Think of Hasbro. Hasbro has had a lot of struggles lately, a lot of struggles across the board. We've seen it in the news, we've seen layoffs, we've seen projections not hitting, things like that. And let's be honest, Disney, they like Hasbro. They don't love Hasbro. They don't love anybody. They love the almighty dollar. They're like a young Ted DiBiase is what they're like. Disney's going to go to whoever pays them the most money, however they feel they're going to get the most money out of them. They're a business. They got that business hat on. It might be Mickey Mouse ear business hat, but it's still a business hat for Disney. They might look like clowns, but they are. But Hasbro, they could be losing Star Wars and Marvel Legends. It very well could happen. And in a plot twist, good friend of the channel, Todd McFarland on the couch wiggling his toes, he might finally pick up that Marvel license. And we know, Todd, you want that Marvel license. I know all too well you want a piece of that. And let's be honest, Todd's already dipping those toes. They're wiggling right now, but he's dipped them in the water of Marvel as we're seeing all those Marvel statues coming out right now. Now he has the license for that, just like some other companies have the little kid toys. There's different licenses goes around. So Todd has the statue license for Marvel right now, and you got to think they're saying, okay, how's Todd paying us? How's the payout? How's the sales going? This could be a way for Todd to get his in to get, of course, the Marvel Legends. And can you imagine the Marvel Legend figures in the McFarlane style figures? So a little bit more upsize, as we know. Good and bad sometimes with the quality. You know it just as well as I do, Todd. But can you imagine that all of a sudden he gets Marvel over there and we get the Marvel figures in the same size, same style of DC. Now, if that happens, what does DC say? Because let's be honest, DC doesn't want to probably have Marvel and DC in the same property, in the same bucket very often. That's the thing that doesn't really work. It's like AEW going to Mattel. It's just not going to happen with WWE there. You wouldn't think. So which could make the DC property, maybe it stays with you, Todd. I know you love your Batman, but it could jump over to a different toy line. What if DC jumps to one Jazzwares? Now, Jazzwares, a sleeping giant. And of course, most people that watch this video, they know Jazzwares is AEW, and they think, why don't they do more of this and that? Well, they got Pokemon. They got all this different stuff over there at Jazzwares. Squishmallows, for example. They got a lot of irons in the fire that are way bigger than AEW. So think what happens if DC jumps over to Jazzwares. Jazzwares could do it. They could find a way to do it. We've seen them do it a bunch of times, and we're fooling ourselves if we don't think Jazzwares does not have ins, of course, with the Disney Corporation, because we've seen them do Star Wars. So there's possibilities for them to maybe even get Marvel Legends. But Jeremy Padow, good friend of the channel, in a plot twist this week, and this is what jogged my brain about this video, he showed a picture of him at Warner Brothers with all these different DC superheroes, Warner Brother properties. Is he having meetings? Is he going to take DC? Marvel's going to go over here? Or maybe Marvel, in a plot twist, they could go to Jazzwares. You never know how the line could fall and everything could fall into a window. It's like a big game of Jenga is what it is. But obviously, Jeremy Padow, a powerhouse in the industry. He's got connections to Disney with Star Wars right now. Maybe he gets the Star Wars Marvel Legends. Maybe he takes over DC. Maybe that's what that meeting was about, because DC knows, hey, Todd's getting Marvel. We're jumping from Todd. We're going to go somewhere else. Maybe they go to Jazzwares. Or it could be really crazy. Can you imagine if DC leaves McFarlane, they go over to Hasbro, and then, of course, Marvel goes to McFarlane? Can you imagine flip-flopping back between those? Could be very, very interesting, as Bobby said in his video, as I'm saying in this one here, just the different ways things could end up breaking out or going. Or it could all follow the status quo and nothing changes. Now, I guarantee there's somebody out there rooting, I hope Marvel goes to Todd, or I hope DC goes to Hasbro, or DC goes to Jazzwares. There's people rooting in different buckets. I take that business step back for me in my age and my collecting and my years of collecting, and I say this a lot. When Jakks lost the wrestling line, I told myself, you know what, I'm done with wrestling collecting. That was a great button on everything, and then, of course, I saw Ultimate Warrior, and it snowballed from there. But what happens if Todd loses DC and gains Marvel, and of course, Hasbro gains DC and loses Marvel? What happens in all this? Do I have it in me to start collecting Marvel from McFarlane or DC from Hasbro? Honestly, I don't think I do. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts if things changed. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts where you want to see it go to, or do you want things to stay the same? Now, I'm rooting for let's have things stay the same. I'm not a guy that likes change a whole lot anyways, but I just don't think I have it in me, especially knowing Todd from the couch and how busy he is. You spend about 20 hours a day on this couch. I don't know how you find time for things. But so busy with McFarland, I can't imagine how many different Marvel Spider-Man and all this kind of stuff and platinums and red platinums. I mean, it would just make my head spin. So I don't think I could jump into that. I just don't think I could. And on the other side, I don't know if I could do that. Now, I'd probably cherry pick a figure or two, probably like a lot of us would, but I couldn't go balls to the wall like I do right now. It's just not possible. There's not enough space to start over. And at this point in my collecting career, I don't really feel like starting over. I mean, it just doesn't. Same thing if Mattel lost wrestling. I don't think I'd be all in on wrestling, whatever took over. I would dabble in a few key characters, but I wouldn't be all in like I am right now. So obviously everything changes. As we do know, as the Traveling Wilburys told us many times ago, we all have to come to the end of the line.
We're going to the end of the line.
And we could be seeing some huge shifts, some huge changes in the toy industry over the next year or two. Going to be very interesting to see how that all nets out. Now, purely speculative at this point, but something to think about. Good discussion topic. Would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. And then finishing off, the last bit of toy news is right now is McFarland, once again, Todd. I saw it in the comments, a lot of heat on this toy line here, but it is the drawing board Batman, Superman, of course, regular or autograph edition. It's basically the corner box of a comic book, and you got a figure posed in there. You hold it up on the wall. A lot of people against this one. A lot of people against it. I see it, Todd. You're trying to do constant learning, constant improvement. You're trying to change the game, do things that haven't been done. I respect that as a businessman myself, but not going to be for me. I can't. I don't have the wall space for it, and I don't think I'd want to put that on my wall if I wanted to. But of course, Batman, Superman collectors, they're hardcore. They want all this kind of stuff. Be interesting how this sells. Be interested to see where this goes in the future. But one of those things that's just definitely not for everybody. And like I said, I saw in the comments a lot of people pretty down on this one. But a lot of times the people in the comments are the vocal minority. So we'll see how that shakes out. But something new from the McFarland toys here. We'll see where that goes on. Also, Batman vs. Professor Zoom 2-pack coming in 2025. Be after that if that is your thing. And the last bit of toy news here, we go to Marvel Legends. You got about a week left. Next week is the end of the pre-order for the Sentinels. And the cool thing about this one, you don't pay until a year later when it ships. So very interesting there. I like that idea a whole lot. They're not sitting on their money. You're just getting your pre-order in. So if you're on the fence, get it because it's your last chance. After that, you're going to be stuck to the secondary market like a lot of these HasLabs, as we do know. So there it is. That's the toy news of the week. Now we got to turn our attention to Album of the Week. All right, we finish off the toy news of the week, of course, with Album of the Week. And a very, very busy week this week for me. I did see Ace Frehley in concert. We'll talk maybe more about that in the weekly purchases video where we really recap the week. But Ace, up and down as you can imagine. A good show, though, a good Saturday night out, and it didn't break the bank. Like the Billie Eilish concert last week where I paid over $1,000 for my two kids and my wife to go to. And we'll talk more about that when my wife joins me, of course, for the mailbag tomorrow in weekly purchases. Stay tuned for that one. That should be a lively conversation. But album of the week this week for me, I finally got around to listening to the new album from this band, Amel and the Sniffers. You ever heard of them? Oh, sniffing everybody around. Historically, I'm not a big fan of the female voice. However, I love that punk rock Wendy O. Williams attitude we get with this band. Brand new band, brand new album, Cartoon Darkness. I think they've had a couple EPs and 2 albums before this one, but this is their latest and greatest, we'll call it. Of course, going on a world tour the next couple of years. But man, oh man, I listened to this band, and since the get-go, I've said, man, this is a band Lemmy would like. And of course, what does Lemmy like? He loves his women. He does, of course, as we know. But he also loves that punk rock attitude. And I mentioned Wendy O. Williams. This is the closest thing we've gotten in a long time to Wendy Williams. Of course, duetting with Lemmy on a few things. Let's Stand By Our Man, how about? But very, very good album here. Ups and downs. You got the hard rockin' stuff, even slowing it down a little bit from time to time. A band from Australia, not a lot of people hear from, of course, here in America, but I think they are starting to make more waves with each album, and I think over the next couple of years you'll probably hear and see them a little bit more. So if you haven't checked them out yet, check out the new album, check out the Hertz album, or their last 2 albums, and was it 2 EPs? I can't remember off the top of my head. It gets hard in this day and age where people release all these EPs and singles, but they do have stuff before, Some really good stuff. If you're into punk rock, you're going to enjoy this. High energy if there ever was one. Check it out. That is album of the week, Cartoon Darkness. So check it out if you have not. So there it is. That's the album of the week. That's the toy news of the week. What are your guys' thoughts? What interested you? Be interested to hear your thoughts about some of these properties changing in the future. Be very interesting. Something to keep our eye on if it does come to fruition in 2025 and beyond. We'll see what happens there. But let me know your toy news of the week this week in the comments down below. And of course, you made it this far. Don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Turn on the old notification bell. Subscribe to both of my YouTube channels. You know I got 2 channels with videos every day. Patreon, so much content over there. Makes your head spin. Check that out. ProWrestlingTees.com. Like I said, Pro Wrestling Tees got a big sale going on right now. Might as well take advantage of it. And if you're not going to buy my shirt, get a Terry Funk shirt. Shout out to the old Funker there. Follow me on TikTok now. Don't forget my book, now available on Kindle, The Perfect Present for the Holidays. Check out my book, The Complete Guide to the Jakks Classic Superstar Series. Sir Paul 64 on the X, _Kyle_Peterson on Threads, and on Instagram. So you know what I'm doing? I'm rocking and rolling, strutting and trolling my way to the end of the line.
We're going to the end of the line.